Catholic Church is celebrating National Vocation Awareness Week. This week-long celebration promotes various vocations such as the priesthood and the diaconate through prayer and education. The Catholic Church also prays for those currently discerning a vocation. And joining me now is Father Mark Ivany, Director of Priest Vocations at the Archdiocese of Washington and Director of Pastoral Formation at St. John Paul II Seminary. Father, welcome. So great to see you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be with you.
So talk to us a little bit more about, why we have this week devoted to vocations and how is it important?
Sure. This week is important because, namely because of the shortage of priests and religious within the church. Interestingly, we could now propose that perhaps we need one for marriage as well. It was almost a kind of a given that the sacrament of holy matrimony was on the minds and the hearts of young people, and that's what they were working towards. And then from that group, perhaps God would call men and women to religious life or young men to the priesthood. But I think in the church in general now, we really need to be reminded of what a vocation is in general. And then within that, priesthood and diaconate and religious life.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that was kind of segueing right into my next question. Traditionally, when we think of vocations, we probably think of becoming a priest or a nun, but there are other paths. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. And just to be clear, this week is, National Vocation Awareness Week for the priesthood and religious life. But as we were saying, given the crisis of marriage these days, it's an important thing to talk about. And so I appreciate the question, because even as a vocation director of priests, priests come from families. It's of the 50 seminarians that we have here at our seminary, very few of them come from, single parent homes or, homes of divorce. Now, of course, there's many heroic, saintly men and women in those situations, and I don't want to take away from that at all. But in general, it's been the reality that vocations to the priest and religious life come from strong, faithful Catholic homes. So just another reason in this week of National Vocation Awareness Week that we can also be talking about good and faithful marriages.
Yeah, and what advice would you give to those who maybe are discerning a vocation? How do you know if God is calling you to do that?
Yes. There's many different ways that a person will come to know that they are, being called to the seminary, to the priesthood through the seminary or the religious life. But there are a few things that help all people to figure that out. The first and foremost would be the sacraments. Another one is Eucharistic adoration, daily Mass, devotion to the Blessed Mother, especially within the use of the Rosary, and good solid spiritual direction and spiritual reading are all things that individuals can do to fertilize or cultivate the ground around them, if you will, to help figure that out. And as well as, I should have mentioned, as well as helping the less fortunate, doing acts of charity. All those things really put a person in a place where they can hear God's call.
And we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I'm really hoping, if you don't mind, could you share with us your vocation story?
Sure. I was raised in a great home. I had wonderful parents, and I had a great view of what it means to live a sacrament in a sacrificial way. I actually strayed a little bit. I never left the church or anything, but I was not as active in my faith in the college years. And through a really wonderful priest, I was invited back and through the sacrament of reconciliation and learned how to pray at a deeper level. And then after pursuing in a more direct way the virtues and just a virtuous way of Christian living, as I said earlier, I was kind of doing the things that allowed me to put myself in a place to hear God's call. And while I was still attracted to married life and to be a husband and a natural father, there was just something inside, Tracy. I can't really explain it, that just kind of was whispering that there's something more, that there's a slightly different path for me to holiness and to service within the church. And I'm so grateful for my parents and for that priest and for everybody else that allowed me, helped me to recognize that and follow it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That really means a lot, and speaking with us about all this today. We appreciate your time, Father.
Great to be with you. And thank you to everyone listening and or watching that prays for vocations to the priesthood of life. Thank you.